Today I wanted to talk to you about an illustrator. An illustrator is someone who draws the pictures in a story. We're going to read a story and talk about this illustrator. The story we're going to read is called Where the Wild Things Are, and this illustrator actually wrote the book as well, and his name is Maurice Sendak. He was such a great illustrator that he earned an award for this book, and it's called the Caldecott Award. This is for Best Illustration. So we'll talk about that. I wanted to show you a picture of him. I have one in one of my books here. Here he is. And he is with one of his wild things. And the photo below is a preliminary sketch. So that's like a rough draft. He has his little sketchbook and he would doodle out some ideas for the illustrations that he would do in his story. After we read the story, we're going to create our own wild thing like this. And we're going to have to think of different parts of the wild thing's body and what kind of fur or scales would they have. And we'll have a lot of fun designing our own wild. Where the Wild Things Are, illustrated and written by Maurice Sendak. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night in Max's room, a forest grew and grew and grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became a world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through the night and day, and in and out of weeks and almost over a year to where the wild things are. And when they came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws, till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with the magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all, and made him king of all the wild things. "And now," cried Max, "let the wild rumpus start." "Now stop," Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then all around, from far away across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said no. The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye. He sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day and into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him. And it was still hot. Now we're going to create our own wild thing. If we look back in the book, we see some of our wild things. And I noticed that they have a lot of different textures, different parts of animals and people. This one looks like feet or human feet. We have some horns coming out of our head. I like the stripes here. There's scales. We have like a rooster head here with a bird beak, some duck feet. Look at these claws here. Check out their teeth. Here's triangle teeth, square teeth. I want you to think of some things that you can combine to make your own wild thing. Some of them have long hair, that's kind of wavy. Now that I'm done brainstorming, I'm going to start drawing my wild thing out. I'm going to start with my head. I want to make it near the top, but I definitely want room for any horns or hair that I'm going to do. Think about what kind of shape you want. I think I'm just going to do kind of a roundish shape like this. And now I'll think about the body. Do you want a shaped body coming out like this? Do you want a squarish? Do you want a tall skinny person or wild thing? Choice is yours. Mine's gonna come out like that. Now I'll start thinking about my face. What kind of eyes? Do I want one eye, two eyes? I'm going to do two round circles, and maybe I'll have my wild thing looking to the side. I want to add a big mouth. Now think about, do you want to have teeth? I loved the square teeth. I think I'll give him a bunch of those. You could do triangle teeth. You could do lips and not even show any teeth at all. You can add your nose. Are you going to do a bird beak? Or a pig snout nose? Now I want to sit there. I think I'm going to give him a mane like a tiger or a lion. I'm going to use this zigzag line, having some variety. Some are long, some are thin, and if I want, I can give them a couple horns like on a ram or a bull. Now think about his body. Do I want to give him feathers or scales? I could do a belly here, and maybe inside his belly I'll do some stripes. Maybe I have some scales, like a reptile. Do you want to give your wild thing wings or arms? And if you're giving them arms, what kind of arms? Do you want thick arms, noodly arms? Maybe I'm going to give some thin noodly arms with some claws. Put some more stripes. And then moving on to the legs. You can have more than one leg. And I'll do some kind of webbed feet, like a duck. Then I can go ahead and give him a background, putting in my horizon line. And if I wanted to add any details in the back, I can. Now I can go ahead and color this. And there is our completed wild thing.